Today we're going to talk about how your divorce during and after has an effect on your taxes, and primarily three main tips to consider. The first is what filing during your divorce affects your taxes. I get this question all of the time because many of my clients assume it's their initial filing when they requested that the court allow them to go through a divorce process, when in reality it's the finalization of your divorce. Depends on where you live, but that is usually referred to as a decree or a marital settlement agreement. It has your signatures on it and usually a judge's finalizing the divorce process. Now that date and that document is going to have an effect on what's called your tax filing status. A tax filing status is important because it's going to have an implication on how much you're taxed on your given income. Usually when you're married, you probably filed your taxes married filing jointly, which means you're filing your taxes with your spouse and getting the benefit of being married. But when you go through a divorce, that tax filing status changes. And the important thing to think about is, when does that change happen? A tax filing status is based on the last day of the year, December 31st. So let's look at a few examples. If you are getting a divorce and your divorce wasn't finalized yet, you're still going through a divorce on December 31st, maybe it gets finalized in January. For that whole prior year, your status was married as of December 31st. So you have some options: married filing jointly, or potentially married filing separately for your taxes for that entire prior year. If instead your divorce is finalized on December 31st or any day before that in a given year, then for that entire year, your taxes would typically be filed either single or potentially head of household if you have children. So what you want to look at is, when is that divorce finalized? And then tip number 2, talk to a tax advisor to understand the implication of that tax filing status. A tax advisor is going to be able to guide you through your divorce tax implications. And even if you've done your taxes in the past by yourself, we typically talk about it being important to go to your tax advisor at least the year you're getting a divorce and the year after. They'll be able to help you understand the tax implication, not only on the division of your finances, but also on your support, such as child support or spousal maintenance, also referred to as alimony. Regardless of if you're the person paying or the person receiving, it can have an implication on your taxes. So you want to check with your tax advisor to see what the best option is for you moving forward. The last thing to consider if you have kids that's important is what's called head of household. On a scale typically of most beneficial to least beneficial tax statuses, married filing jointly is the most beneficial and single is the least beneficial. Head of household is going to be somewhere in between. And head of household can be a benefit if you have a dependent in your care at least 50.1% of the time. That would be really common if you're a parent and you have a child in your care, you're the custodial parent of them more than 50% of the time, and your spouse has the remainder of the time that is less than 50%. You could qualify for head of household and get more tax benefits than you would have if it was at a single tax filing status. If you share your parenting time 50-50, during your divorce, it's a great opportunity to talk to your divorce professional. That's usually a legal advisor, attorney, or mediator, about writing a clause into your final agreement regarding head of household. It can dictate who gets to claim head of household when. So for example, maybe mom gets to claim their child Susan every even year, and dad gets to claim every odd year. So on any given year, they always have 50-50 parenting time, but they get to rotate head of household. Or if you have more than one child, it could be that mom always gets Susan and dad always gets Billy. So you understand in a legal contract who is going to get that head of household status, since you have equal parenting time and one of you doesn't have the majority of time, which would lead to head of household typically in a natural sense. Again, always want to check with a tax advisor to understand your tax implications, but extremely important as we go into tax season to recognize how your divorce is going to impact your taxes at the end of the day. Follow for more tips and more information about the divorce process.